Blackouts suck, especially if your gear gets zapped. Alienware's latest gaming mouse got skinny. Blind folks love that Echo microwave, and quite a bit more coming up on TekThing. A big thank you to our patrons Mike J, Daniel C, Darren J, and Joe K. Join the crew that makes TekThing possible at patreon.com/TekThing. We can't do it without you.
Hey y'all, I'm Shannon Morse.
And I'm Patrick Norton.
And this is TekThing, where we have something useful in every single show.
You're feeling very...
Country? Southern?
Country.
Hey y'all.
Because I don't even...
Look, I have porgs on my shirt.
Is that what those are?
Yes, they're
I thought they were
porgs.
penguins.
Well, they could be penguins. They're pretty close to that.
Penguins, porgs.
It's the best shirt ever. Yay!
Oh my goodness, don't let the boys see that. Where did you get that shirt? Where did you get that shirt? Oh my goodness. We had a power outage this morning.
Did you?
My island went black, right?
Oh,
it wasn't like some of you have been dealing with hurricanes and power being out for days and your house being flooded. So we didn't have an epic power outage this morning, but it was serious enough to take out most of the town I live in. Street lights were out, electric was out, traffic lights were out, and the cell towers were out for like an hour or two. And that's amazing because the cell towers kind of never go out. And at first the cell towers were up. Like I was reading Signal on my phone, but there was no actual connectivity. Like I couldn't send text messages. And then finally they went down completely. And then everything kind of booted back up.
I'll be honest, this is why I have my ham radio license, because of apocalyptic reasons.
Oh my goodness. Well, I keep one of these, the GE and Brighton nickel-plated weather-resistant dimmable lantern 350 lumens, which is not made by GE, it's made by Jasco. And it looks like that, and it takes like 8 D cells, and they sell them for like 20 bucks at Costco. There's like one for everybody in the house at this point.
That's awesome.
But there's one by the front door. I also have a headlamp in my backpack. Came in very useful at CES.
Yep.
2 tactical flashlights and a mini candle lantern between my bed and my dresser, and there's like a stack of plumber's candles somewhere in the house. The kitchen got reorganized, so I know the plumber's candles are in the kitchen.
They're somewhere.
Somewhere.
That's okay, you have a headlamp so you can find them.
Exactly, right? But I mean, to paraphrase Amnesty International, it's better to light a candle than curse the darkness. Actually, that's a direct quote from Amnesty International. Maybe it's the paraphrase would be, it's better to put on a headlamp than curse the darkness. But that somewhere concept was really weighing heavy on me, because I knew if the electricity didn't pop back on soon, there would be no coffee, tea, or warm breakfast, because our entire kitchen is electric. And my generator won't feed 240 volts, much less 240 volts for the kind of amperage that the stove is going to pull, or the dryer. It'll keep the freezers and the fridge going and keep the batteries charged. Maybe run a movie night if the power is off for a while. But I started thinking, I don't actually have enough gas to keep the generator going for more than like 48 hours.
Oh.
Yeah. And we live in earthquake country.
Yeah.
And all I was thinking is like, I need to fix this. And the phone towers going down was really weird because, like I said, we had Signal, but there was no texting. And that had me started thinking about alternative communications for an emergency, which brings up
ham radio.
Oh my goodness! But you have to set up, like, there has to be somebody at the other end, or you have to sort of work out.
You have a ground. You need to have some kind of ground station, but they have local clubs. So, like, if you do have a power outage, you'd probably be able to get in contact with your local club and see what's going on.
Yeah, but part of that's also like, do you do the big giant ham radio that sits in the house with a giant antenna on the top, or do you have a little handheld ham radio?
I just have a little handheld one that I take to conventions. That's all you need.
Oh my goodness. My UPS was beeping, and I suddenly realized I still haven't set up the auto shutdown software on my primary desktop. And I should probably double check the NAS to make sure it's shut down properly too.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, like, okay, so I got to deal with like the UPS power, like the UPS has to shut everything down properly so that nothing gets trashed when the UPS runs out, because the UPS only run for so long.
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh, we have a camping stove, and the camping stove is stored off-site, which is kind of stupid when you start thinking about needing coffee and breakfast at 5:30, and the gate to the storage unit doesn't open until like 9 or 10.
Oh no!
And then I realized I needed to get a bulk propane adapter so I can use the 25-gallon tanks instead of the little tanks, or the 25-pound tanks instead of the little 3-pound tanks.
This sounds like it's getting complicated.
It is getting complicated. So usually we talk about 3, 2, 1 backups, but my little adventure in the darkness this morning got me thinking. It didn't help that my kids just got done with the City of Ember, which is a sci-fi book about it's like a sci-fi book about a city that's been placed underground to survive some kind of crazy war on the surface of the planet or terrible tragic event.
Cool.
And my youngest was concerned that the generator might not come back on this time. So I had to explain to him that we didn't live in Ember and it wasn't
That's
like
so
that.
Cute.
It was a little less cute when he was kind of like on
Panicking.
that borderline between panic
Yeah, poor kid.
I can't play Harry Potter because the book's not downloaded on my phone and the cell phone towers don't work. High class problems. But by the way, good sci-fi, and there's 3 books in the series that go way beyond the 2008 movie. And candles and books and blackouts are really awesome, especially if you have enough firewood to keep you from freezing when you're stuck without power for 3 days in Vermont.
Yes.
And if you have food.
Yes, absolutely.
All of what you need to do before the
thing
emergency
happens.
hits.
Yeah, because when it happens, when it hits, especially like what my family saw in North Carolina when the hurricane hit, the grocery stores were out of food, out of water.
One of my favorite pictures of all time was a friend of mine ran through a Walmart and he's like, I don't know why they're out of mirrors, but apparently people, but it was like all of the food was gone.
Yeah.
He's like, even the stuff like nobody eats. Like
wow.
he was like, it was stripped.
Wow.
All the canned goods were stripped. All the frozen foods were like, I guess eat the frozen foods first before the power goes out.
Yeah, I think so. And then eat like the canned foods and stuff like that afterwards.
Oh my goodness.
Who knows? But myself, I have a backpack in my car and I have a backpack at home just in case anything happens. I should probably put a backpack here as well in the studio just in case anything happened while I was at work. Yes, a get home bag, exactly. A little bit of cash, a little bit of food and water, and then enough stuff to get me back to where I need to be with my family. But of course, we are always looking for hot tips whenever you are dealing with life or technology whenever the power goes down, because this is an actual thing. So you can fire it out, ask@TekThing.com. And hey, if you have not backed up your phone or your laptop or any of your data on your desktop, on your NAS, you should probably do that today. Do it right now. So we don't have to tell you again. But we will anyway, because that's what we do here on TekThing.
Pretty often. As long as there's no gas leaks, these things are awesome. I just want to say
that. Yes, I agree. Yes, you can never go wrong with good old natural fire, unless there's a gas leak. Ask at TekThing.com.
You can go very wrong.
The brand new Dell Alienware AW959 Elite gaming mouse just came out, and it costs a total whopping $84.99. Yes, it is a little bit expensive.
Well, it's a gaming mouse.
Yes, it is a gaming mouse. Yes, it's got 12,000 DPI for the mouse sensor settings, and it features Alienware's AlienFX RGB lighting array, as you can see on the front of this, and I will show you some close-ups of it as well.
Which matches the headset, which matches the desktops and laptops.
Heck yes, and the monitors too. So you can definitely get your groove on throughout all the different Alienware devices, of course. Now, I also reviewed the older Alienware 958 mouse as well. Previously, I think it was maybe last year. So out of the box, I immediately noticed the difference in the size between these two, between the 959 and the 958. The 959 is definitely slimmer all around, but it still includes 4 different little wings that you can put on the side. Those are interchangeable, and they also include 4 different 5-gram weights that can seamlessly fit into the back of the mouse too, for a more weighty feel,
so
if you want a weighted feel.
Yeah,
you can totally tune your mouse. It's still got the braided cable on the front, which I really like braided cables. I feel like they're nice and durable, especially if you're moving your mouse around a lot in games. The wings themselves, they still have the same soft touch feel as the palm rest, and the left wing includes 2 or 4 extra buttons. Ooh. And each of these wings is held on very, very tightly with tight magnets, so it's pretty tough to get them off.
Neodymium magnets.
Yeah, you're not going to end up like losing them in the middle of an FPS game unless you're like prying them off with your nails. So keep that in mind.
Downstairs.
If you fling them downstairs, you might end up throwing off one of the rings. Just be careful not to lose them. You don't want to lose your wings, especially the ones that are your favorite. But you do have 4 to choose from, so that is nice. You have 2 extra buttons on the previous mouse generation on the left ring, but I generally don't play games that require so many buttons, so I personally did not miss those at all. So in total, you get 11 function buttons for additional customizations. 11. That's a lot of button customization.
Let me show you the 3 buttons I've used in 1,000 years of gaming.
Okay, I'm ready.
This one, and I really like the scroll wheel. I really like the scroll wheels for cycling through like my weapons.
That's pretty much all I use too.
I'm just saying.
Use scroll. I do use the 2 side buttons as well to go forward and backwards in a browser, and I find that's useful. Otherwise, I don't really use them that much.
There's memory on this.
There is, yes.
What
there
for?
512 kilobytes of onboard memory. That is for the function button so that you can store customized functionality and then you can move them from computer to computer, which is very, very nice and useful, especially if you have like a certain game that you want that functionality in and you don't want to lose those customizations.
I'm thinking about complicated keyboard shortcuts for like Premiere or Photoshop or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking the same thing, especially for Adobe Premiere Pro
Those
when
like
I'm editing.
7-finger command lines.
Yeah, I was like, ooh, I should definitely do that.
Keyboard things.
You can adjust the palm rest for a larger hand, and you can also use it in claw style, fingertip, or grip styles. And to do that, you simply push out on the palm rest, so you have 3 different options there. I keep it on the smallest because, as you can see, between me and Patrick, I have very small hands compared to Patrick. So I use the smallest. Patrick would probably be comfortable with the larger fit for this mouse in particular.
It felt fine.
Yeah?
But then again, the old mouse, I mean, most mice, I'm so used to like, it's, I haven't found a mouse. My issue is more like travel mice, where you have to like hold them like this.
Totally. You have to like claw them.
Yeah, I have to claw those.
Which some people like to claw. I'm personally like a rester. I like to rest on top of my mouse. That's how I like to use them. So I don't really like to claw them at all.
Well, I try not to let my palm rest on it, but I'm also thinking like when I'm typing, where I'm keeping my wrists up and my fingers elevated.
So it does have that slimmer fit, which I do really appreciate. It did require less gripping on the sides for me to use it accurately, which I really enjoyed. And I found myself focusing less on the mouse, which I feel is how it should be whenever you're using a mouse. You shouldn't have to worry about like how you're holding it, or you shouldn't have to feel like you're tired after using it.
Have to think about really the mouse, something's wrong with the mouse or the way you're holding it.
So I kind of forgot about it, other than the pretty lights, but you know, that's going to happen anyway. The aluminum wheel is very comfortable to use, and I like the notched feedback whenever I scroll, so you can definitely feel where it's going to stop, so it has a nice steady stopping motion. It feels durable, like it's not going to wear out over time. The Omron switches have a lifespan of 50 million clicks. 50 million is the average, so that's nothing different. And yeah, it's definitely pretty clicky mouse, but you know, it's decently quiet.
I like tactile sensation on mice.
I do too, absolutely. The mouse still has the same Alienware look. It has 16.8 million color LED strips on the center that glow very, very brightly, and this is exactly the same as the previous model as well. These can be changed with the AlienFX in the Alienware Command Center, and they can be matched up with your other Alienware devices like we mentioned previously, and you can match this up with gaming as well. Now lastly, the DPI settings go up to 12,000, but there are 5 on-the-fly DPI settings on the front, which you can trigger with this button right here. And the optical sensor by PixArt feels very, very fast and is very accurate too. Luckily, you can change the DPI settings in the Alienware Command Center because I found their default settings weren't exactly what I wanted with my DPI. I was like just in the middle of option 2 and 3, so I changed it so that option 2 was just a little bit faster for my particular opinion for what I need. Now I noticed that this did not automatically pop up when I was using ACC on my laptop. It turns out I had to download a brand new version of it over on their driver support page. I do have this link in the show notes because finding the drivers is a little bit complicated, so I figure I would just save you a few steps and put the link right there in the show notes for you. Now since it weighs less overall, it's 0.42 pounds, it has a slimmer design but still lets you customize it to your perfect fit since it comes with these additional wings as well. I think it's a really great update from their previous model. It's a nice upgrade. I love that I can also theme it alongside the headset that I reviewed last week to give me that cohesive gaming desktop scenario so everything
matching
looks
LEDs
the same.
On the battle station.
Yeah, dude,
or
like
you can do red, white, and blue.
Oh yeah, for July 4th, there you go. Yeah, I have pink and purple everywhere, including with my Philips Hue lights, which are on my desk too at home.
If it doesn't match
it's
the
fancy.
hair, you won't find it there.
Yeah, this will be different in like 2 weeks. It's going to be a much brighter purple. Now it is on the high end when it comes to gaming mice though, many of which you will find in the $50 to $60 price range, so keep that in mind whenever you shop around. However, since this is less than $100, I do think that it's a pretty good deal, especially for the Alienware branding and since it matches up with other ones. So
I was going to say it's interesting because they're doing the weighted thing, and I've noticed a lot of gaming mice, sort of a lot of the latest generation gaming mice, they're going for the lightest possible mouse.
I've noticed that too.
And if you're used to having a throw weight to a mouse, it can be really odd to pick up a mouse that weighs nothing.
I've noticed that too. So I've always used these weighted ones. I used to have like the Logitech G series at home for the longest time. So I've always used weights in my mouse, and I really appreciate that with a mouse. However, the slimmer design is what really spoke to me with this one when compared to the older one that had much wider wings on it. So now if you are wondering, I did test this. You can't change out the wings for the new model on the old model mouse. You do have to buy the newer mouse, which is unfortunate. But if you are looking for a slimmer design, this one's definitely something that you should keep in mind whenever you shop for a new gaming mouse, especially if you are already using all the Alienware products already.
Matching.
Yeah, it matches.
If you got a favorite gaming mouse, if you're curious about how to better use your gaming mouse, if you're thinking, really guys, could you just once try all 11 buttons and see if you can get them all programmed in the game, email ask@tekthing.com. I think I can probably figure out 4 or 5 functions.
You know, I think I could come up with enough functions in Fortnite.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's enough to do in that game that I could definitely come up with 11 buttons.
So much Fortnite, so little time if you still sleep.
Yep. At TekThing on Twitter if you have any questions about gaming mice, or ask@tekthing.com.
We love your questions, your tips, your suggestions of products and ideas to check out. Please tweet at TekThing, at Snubs, or at Patrick Norton, or just email ask@tekthing.com. And a big shout out to our patrons at patreon.com/TekThing. You make the show possible, you pay our bills, and our thanks to you. Join the crew that makes TekThing happen at patreon.com/TekThing. For anybody wondering, the Orbi Voice Wi-Fi satellite with AlienFX lasted approximately 36 hours in my kitchen before my boys asked for Harry Potter on Audible and over breakfast, and AlienFX answered, and my wife went, "What is that?" Then she asked AlienFX for tea, Earl Grey hot, laughed at the answer, which is a pretty awesome Easter egg, and then banished the Orbi Voice to the garage of Hope Coffee and voice control systems. I'm just saying.
Well, for the record, your wife is cool because Star Trek is awesome.
Any Picard reference is welcome here.
I agree.
And my garage is probably has more microphones in it than a typical recording studio at this point, because it's you know, it's not a big garage, but boy is it listening.
Oh,
I just want to say that right now.
That's funny. Well, this brings us to Chad's email, who writes, "Hey Shannon and Patrick, just wanted to weigh in on the AlienFX and other voice assistant debate. Maybe it's my Fourth Amendment sense twitching, but I'm not a fan of the voice assistant craze. I turn it off on my Android phone, as does my wife on her iPhone, and we refuse to put a home assistant in our home. Having read 1984, I find it a bit ironic that devices listening to us weren't mandated by the government, but willingly chosen in the name of convenience and entertainment. I promise I'm not crazy, but I just find it all a bit unnerving. Thanks for everything. Faithful patron, Chad H." Thank you, Chad.
Thanks, Chad. So, and this is funny because you are as privacy paranoid as anybody I know. Well, okay, except for a couple people I know from kind of the DEF CON community.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, you're like hashtag gorilla tape over your camera on your laptop. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah, like that's like every laptop you have has a camera shutter on it.
Yes.
But you're really comfortable having the voice assistants in your house.
Well, there are some reasons behind that. However, I do have some stipulations as well. And one of those stipulations is that it doesn't go in certain rooms. Like there's nothing in my bathroom, there's nothing in my bedroom. I have one in my kitchen, and I have one in my computer room. And
so I'm laughing because no good can come of having a voice assistant in the bathroom.
No.
Or can it?
Or your bedroom. That's just, oh no, that's too creepy.
No cameras in the bedroom?
No, that's
Probably a good
way
thing.
Too creepy. and I just can't trust them in those rooms, especially because, you know, that's a very private place for me. However, in the kitchen, I'm hanging out with friends or I'm cooking dinner or whatever it might be. And whenever I'm in the living room is where I really have private conversations with my husband.
Sure.
So I kind of base where I put the voice assistants in my household based on where I have, private conversations and where I don't.
Are you more concerned about Google knowing that you're talking about whatever with your husband, or are you more paranoid that somebody might actually hack their way into your house?
I'm not so concerned about hacking. I'm more concerned about Google's 1984-esque surveillance of whatever I might be doing. However, I also know that I have full control over Amazon and Google and what they're able to collect in my history. And I can go in at any time and delete anything out of there too. And if I have any issues with them, I can mute both of them too, so they don't pick up anything on my on the microphones in the devices. So I do have some stipulations, yes, but I know that I am sacrificing a little bit of my security for that convenience in specific rooms in my household, and that's kind of my gray line, I guess, in between having them or not having them.
But it's not. I mean, we talk about trade-offs like Google owns, my email life, it owns my doc life, it now has all of my contacts. One of the things I have noticed is how irritating Google gets via Android with trying to get me to sign up into every possible thing to expose all of the data to Google.
Yeah.
/Android, which was funny because it was something I hadn't really thought about because it didn't feel as invasive or it wasn't as intense the last time I went around with Android. And this time, having come off of an iPhone, I'm just like, and don't get me wrong, Apple's collecting everything they can too. But it was kind of crazy where it was like, don't you want to turn on your Maps history? And it's like I turned it off once on iOS and Maps never bothered me again. But on Android, it's always like, everything would work better if you just let us know what you're doing and where you are all the, you know what I mean? Like I'm just
the constant. Do you want us to save where you parked? Do you want us to have you review this place that you just went? Oh, did you know you're really close to Starbucks right now? I'm just like, no, leave me alone, Google.
Knock it the frack off.
Yeah.
I can see the Starbucks.
Yeah, Chad brings up some excellent points about security and convenience, and it is a trade-off in many consumer appliances, including the voice assistants, however, not just those items as well. So it is something that you should consider whenever you're purchasing these items is how much security are you willing to sacrifice to be able to use these? Or privacy, yeah, absolutely.
I don't know, I'm just like the oh goodness, I can't think of the Tom Cruise movie where they're doing the precog stuff.
Oh, I know the one you're talking about. I don't remember the name.
Yes.
Somebody comment below. We don't remember the name of the movie.
Oh my goodness. I can see him like walking down like the hallway and all the advertisements are like scanning his retina and being like, Shannon.
Yes, I know
this shade of mauve.
What is it called? Okay,
Minority
we're
Report.
gonna have to. There we go. Yes.
Suddenly it burbles up from the back of my brain. Good email. Thank you for sharing. Ask at TekThing.com.
Kevin has a rather different perspective on AlienFX on the microwave. He says, have to say that I am very disappointed, but not surprised that neither of you thought of those of us that are blind, visually impaired, or have other disabilities that make it difficult to use a standard microwave oven. Sadly, too often society forgets about those with disabilities. I have lost most of my vision to a hereditary eye disease called retinitis pigmentosa, and what vision I do have left is impacted by cataracts in both eyes. Dictated using Siri on iOS from Kevin M. Now, I will say I don't forget about those with disabilities, especially since my mother-in-law works with children with lots of disabilities. So that is something that I consider. However, you're right, we should have considered that when we were talking about the microwave.
Yeah, this is the part where I hang my head in shame, Kevin. I've read and heard enough about how Echo and Google Home and Siri and other voice systems are life-changing for folks with visual impairments with the inability to type. And I'll try to think a lot larger next time. And hey, if you do pick up the Amazon Basics microwave, let us know how it works out for you, because your experience is going to be a lot different than most of the people out there, and I'd like to share it. Brian adds, as someone who is visually impaired, I'm actually quite excited about it. Little things like seeing buttons on appliances make day-to-day life rather difficult. It may be a silly concept for a microwave, but I sincerely hope that this will pave the way for more ALEXA assisted devices with similar functions. Again, thank you for the gentle call out, Brian, and we will try to think a little bit larger in the future.
Yes, thank you.
And a big thank you to Hack5 for the studio space. Check out the Security and Privacy Podcast at hack5.org. Then check out the Superior Pen Testing and USB Automation Tools over at hack5.org/gear. And remember, once in a while, put down the phone, step away from the screen, close the laptop, and do something analog. Like figure out how to safely store gas for the generator and pack the earthquake kit someplace where A, it won't get stolen, and B, the house can't fall on top of it.
We're definitely thinking about the apocalypse here today.
Not apocalypse, but it's just it was the blackout reminded me of some earthquake planning.
Yeah.
I had family who just left North Carolina before the North Carolina hurricane, and their house was in Alabama because they just moved from North Carolina to Alabama, and they were like in North Carolina when Alabama got hit, and they just left North Carolina to go to Alabama when North Carolina got hit, so they were kind of skating in between the hurricanes. But you know, it doesn't have to be a hurricane. It doesn't have to be an earthquake. It doesn't have to be, you know, tremendous snowfall. It doesn't have to be, you know, wildfires. It could just be a really bad Tuesday.
Yes.
And something horrible happens.
And this looks like a great website on how to properly store gasoline.
Family Handyman's a pretty good magazine and a pretty good website that is all about fixing stuff in your house.
Awesome.
But yeah, generally speaking, don't store gas cans in the house.
Yes. We'll put a link down in the show notes for that in case anybody else is interested in how to safely and properly store your gasoline products.
And if you have suggestions, email ask@TekThing.com because, hey, I would like to not light my house on fire.
Yes. That's always a good thing.
Oh my goodness. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Shannon Morse.
We'll see you next week on TekThing.
Guess where I'm going this weekend?
Hawaii.
Yep.
With Hack 5.
Yeah.
Are you going to hack Hawaii?
It's a work retreat. No, we would never do that. Chances are we'll be having a meetup on Saturday night in case anybody out there is interested.
Which island?
On Oahu. Yep, not the big island, but the most populated island in Hawaii.
The popular island.
Yeah, so I think we'll choose a brewery and go out there and hang out for a little while, make play some Get Loot. Y'all.
Are pineapples in season this time of year?
I don't know, but we are going to go to the Dole Plantation. For sure. That's on the list.
Oh my goodness, yeah. If I'm in Hawaii, I just want to eat.
Yeah.
And then eat.
Yeah, we have no plans. I think we're just gonna do beach days, which I'm okay with. That sounds all right with me. And I'm fully intending to edit all the videos while I'm there.
Yay.
Yay!